We gather receiving your gifts of life and liberty to each one of us. We also gather recognizing these gifts come with responsibility to care for them. Guide each commissioner and each participant in this meeting as we take responsibility in what is presented and how the decisions are made. Help us live as free people who owe no person anything but the gift of love. Direct us as we care for those we represent and serve. Grant us strength to lavish love on this community of people and place. We pray this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Redeemer and Helper in these hours. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Simmons.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll keep my promise. I'm going to trust my prayers to work.
Okay, we trust you too. Next is the Ethics Awareness and Conflicts of Interest Reminder.
Pursuant to GS 153A-44, a commissioner has a duty to vote on matters coming before the board, but may be excused from voting on issues involving the commissioner's own financial interest, official conduct, or on matters on which the commissioner is prohibited from voting under GS 14-234 or 160D-109. In accordance with Chapter 2, Division 3 of the Currituck County Code of Ordinances, it is the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the Board of Commissioners in this meeting? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict.
Hearing none, we'll move to the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the...
Oh, wait a minute. No, I need to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move to amend the agenda to add a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.113 to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Okay, we have a motion with an amendment. Need a second?
I'll second it.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Public comment. We have one person signed up for public comment, Ms. Connie Hendrick. I ask you to please state your name and address for the record as you come forward.
Hello, good evening. I'm Connie Hedrick, and my address is 296 Summit Farms Trail. And I have come before you because I looked at the agenda and bring to our attention, which is on but our citizens' attention, House Bill 765. That is a demonstrative bill. It's an impactful bill, and I know that you have a resolution on PAC for it, but it covers the state controlling certain aspects of zoning, where it constrains whether our commission can act in a different method that would be constructive for our own citizenship. So I'm going to ask you somehow to call out to the public. The bill is entitled An Act to Reform Local Government Development Regulations in this State. So that's all local governments across 100 counties. So there's a good read in here, some positive things, some very controlling things. So I would ask that our citizens really go pull it down and take a look at it. Because if it goes through without any further additions, like they've had 2 additions already, then there's some that it could be very catastrophic for our commissioners here and for us as citizens. When they really say we have no control of it, there's certain aspects they may not have any control of it. So this is a bill that has 19 sponsors, 11 Republican, 8 Democrats, for any of y'all that care. But the one that I really wanted, one of the sponsors, is Representative Bill Ward, and he represents Camden County, Gates, Hertford, and Pasquotank. And so they're aligning with us on borders with their counties. So what they do and how they see it and how it's going to be affected as far as the sponsorship is concerned. So I'm going to encourage you guys to go read it and then call your commissioners with what you think is positive and negative. And I'd like to ask how that we are addressing this besides just a resolution. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you, Ms. Hedrick. We'll be addressing that further in the agenda tonight, and we'll have some discussion on that. Ms. Hedrick's the only one I have signed up. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak that did not sign up? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and move to our first agenda item, legislative hearing, PB 25-03, Currituck County Text Amendment, request to amend the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, to clarify community meeting requirements for major subdivisions. I believe, Ms. Turner, this is you.
Oh, maybe it's not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you see the PowerPoint or you see the video on your screen?
Just you.
See me. Oh, sorry about that.
Now there's
Public comment?
public
Now
comment.
you have it? Okay. All right.
Now we got it.
Now we got it. Thought you gave her your garage door opener.
Here we go. Okay. Thank you. So this is a relatively simple text amendment. The board may recall that back in January, you heard a text amendment related to evidentiary hearings, where we were trying to get information related to evidentiary hearings out to the public a little as soon in the process as possible. And we were including a statement regarding those in our community meeting notifications. But with that text amendment, we discovered that there was some inconsistent language in the ordinance with respect to when those community meetings are required. And so this text amendment is to address that language and make it more clear. And we did speak about this at the February 26th work session that we had, and got your feedback on the number of lots that should require a community meeting prior to a preliminary plat submittal. So bear with me here. Can you still see the PowerPoint? Because I'm seeing myself here.
Yes, we see the PowerPoint.
Okay. Great. So this is a chart that shows basically once this text amendment, if it's approved, this is how community meetings will be required. So for any special use permit, that's just a special use permit, a community meeting is required prior to submittal. For a type 1 preliminary plat, which is a type of major subdivision of 20 or fewer lots, a community meeting will not be required. For a type 1 preliminary plat that does require a special use permit associated with that because of adequate public school facilities, that will not require a community meeting. But a type 2 preliminary plat of 21 lots or more will require a community meeting. And you may recall that we spoke about the current practice and how the ordinance has been implemented since its adoption in 2013 was that community meetings were only required for type 2 preliminary plats of 50 lots or more. So there were some inconsistencies in the ordinance, and this is hopefully going to correct those. The first section here is related to community meetings. When they're required, we are adding special use permits except those type 1 preliminary plats, and we're going to strike through the 50 lots or more for the type 2 preliminary plats that would apply to any major subdivision type 2. This is just some general cleanup of the posted notice requirements. The prior language did not have any, it had a strike through here and no language for type 2 preliminary plats for the posted notice of the hearings that come before you. So we're just adding that language for clarity. And then lastly, in the subdivision chapter or section, we're going to be striking through that the community meetings applicable for plats of 50 lots or more. It will be for type 2 preliminary plats. You may be familiar with these text amendment review standards. They're also included in your agenda package. And the planning board and staff recommend approval because the text amendment is in conformance with the ordinance and it clarifies the community meeting requirements. And at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Any board members have any questions? I think we had discussed this quite a bit beforehand and got our questions answered. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. I have no one signed up to speak. Is there anyone that wishes to speak that did not sign up? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the board for a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion for approval.
Second.
Second, any other discussion?
I don't mean to interrupt, but we do need to have a consistency statement. So I would recommend reading off of that motion sheet.
Okay. I move to approve PB 25-03 Currituck County text amendment because the request is in conformance with the Unified Development Ordinance and clarifies community meeting requirements. The request is not in conflict with the Imagine Currituck 2040 Vision Plan. And that's my motion.
Have a motion.
I'll second.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The next item is new business, resolution opposing House Bill 765 and similar legislation that strips local government of planning and zoning authority.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is a resolution, and I thought that it would be best just to read it out verbatim because there's quite a bit to House Bill 765 that is not in the best interest of the county. So it is titled Resolution of the Currituck County Board of Commissioners opposing House Bill 765 and similar legislation that strips local governments of planning and zoning authority. Whereas the County of Currituck recognizes the essential need of planning and zoning regulations for orderly management of growth, public safety, and general welfare of citizens. And whereas the County of Currituck maintains planning and zoning decisions should remain with local governments as one-size-fits-all state mandates do not reflect the unique needs and character of each county. And whereas House Bill 765, entitled An Act to Reform Local Government Development, proposed by the North Carolina General Assembly, significantly limits or eliminates a local government's ability to protect the public with approaches that include overly broad changes to planning and zoning authority for local governments in North Carolina. Whereas House Bill 765 would result in sweeping changes to planning and zoning standards, including some of the following: mandatory fiscal notes on direct or indirect impacts to housing costs prior to adopting, amending, or repealing any ordinance, disqualifying commissioners from rezoning votes, which are legislative, for prior undisclosed conversations or opinions, which is actually the standard for quasi-judicial hearings, removing a local government's ability to establish or require parking or parking space requirements, including space sizes, the location of spaces, the number of spaces in a development through zoning, and eliminating a county's ability to require street standards and installation of sidewalks with no connection. Introducing new civil penalties and liabilities for counties and individual commissioners, including punitive damages. Elimination of a county's ability to establish minimum lot size in residential zoning districts. Required decisions on rezoning and site plans within 90 days. Mandated minimum densities based on county population, which would be no fewer than 4 dwelling units per acre for Currituck County. Increasing the duration of time for vested rights from 2 years to 5 years. Judicial review of consistency statements, which encourages litigation. Eliminating a county's ability to exclude buffers, setbacks, public or private streets, open space or recreation areas, or other non-developable areas from the density calculation. Eliminating a county's ability to reserve water and sewer capacity for proposed development. And whereas House Bill 765 has been authored and submitted for consideration without any input from counties to share how these enactments would lead to negative, costly, and potentially dangerous situations for a community and its citizens, businesses, and property owners. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Currituck County Board of Commissioners that Currituck County opposes House Bill 765 and all similar legislation that strips essential authority of local governments to protect its citizens and businesses through planning and zoning regulations. And the clerk to the Board of Commissioners is directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the county's legislative delegation. The County of Currituck encourages its citizens, businesses, property owners, and neighboring counties in communicating with their representatives and share their concerns regarding House Bill 765 and similar proposed legislation. This resolution is effective upon adoption.
All right, I'll open it up for discussion because I know that there are several things that members have issues with. So I'll open it up for discussion.
I think the biggie is eliminating our ability to do the lot size. They would make it a minimum of 4 houses per acre.
11,000 square foot lot.
Yeah. And then we have to provide services for all those people that live in those homes on the 4 houses per acre, which is going to cause their taxes to go up quite a bit if this passes.
Who chaired this bill?
Well, I tell you, Representative Bill Ward from Pasquotank County is one of the co-sponsors. It's already passed the Senate. If it passes the House and the governor signs it, it becomes law. And it's a bipartisan bill. It's got, I believe it was 11 Republicans and 8 Democrats are co-sponsors, which just goes to show you that they're two sides of the same coin. And one of the things that jumps out to me, the county would no longer be able to eliminate or exclude buffers or setbacks. We would not be able to set public or private street, how parking will be done. You can't have street standards and the number of spaces that are required. You have absolutely no say in how a subdivision does its parking. 4 lots per acre would be devastating to the county's ability to provide schools and services. And Raleigh's not going to send any money to help us. But another one here was introducing civil penalties and liabilities for counties and individual commissioners, including punitive damages. So your local boards would be held hostage from saying no to anything, because then they would be set up for damages, personal damages. You no longer have the governmental immunity. It would be personal damages if somebody didn't like what you said and a jury or a judge decided that that's the way it is. There's so many things wrong with this. And last year, they passed a bill that removed some of the zoning authority from county boards of commissioners, and we were assured that, oh, it was in the bill, we had to pass it to get the money to the western part of the state, and we'll take it out this year. I haven't seen it come out this year.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah, and now they're adding this to it. And if people sitting home watching this don't realize what this means to you and your future of your county, you really need to think about this long and hard. The county commissioners basically would no longer have any authority to reflect anything that the citizens in Currituck County want. Essentially, there'd be no need to even have a subdivision come to the Board of Commissioners anymore. They just go to the planning department and says, this is what we're going to do. Ha ha. And
Well, even from a rezoning standpoint, it makes it where essentially ex parte communications is not allowed anymore on a legislative decision.
Exactly.
So even at the point where we have control over the zoning of the county in which we reside, we partially lose authority over that.
So this would basically do away with a whole lot of our UDO, would it not?
It would
Destroy it pretty good.
it would dictate what our UDO could say.
This is just another example, and Paul and I can speak to this, the gradual erosion of counties' authorities to regulate their own growth patterns. That every session, they have more bills coming in to where let's let the counties give this to the state. Well, if the state wants it, send the money.
yeah.
What this really is doing is it's a threat to Currituck County's rural way of life. Our farmland is precious and valuable, and this basically forces us to use our land like it's being used in Wake County, Mecklenburg County, Durham County, our largest counties. It's an attempt to make us all into urban areas. So it's a very dangerous bill.
I hope the counties that are even more rural than us, like Gates County, Perquimans, Chowan, I hope they're all paying attention to this bill as well.
The problem is the rural counties have no say in Raleigh. All the power is vested in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Wake County, Pitt County, and some of the larger counties in the state. I will say this now. Bobby Hanig was the only Republican that voted no on this, our representative in the Senate. He was the only one.
They all voted yes.
All of them except
All of
him.
them except him.
Every one of them except Bobby. And in the House, I don't know where it's going to go. I was told it probably wouldn't go anywhere, but when I see one of our local representatives is co-sponsoring it, it kind of makes me wonder if that's just not another smokescreen.
I don't think Ed Goodwin will support this bill, our representative in the
He
House.
didn't co-sponsor.
Well, it's important for him to hear from all of us. And
Absolutely.
as many county commissioners, this is why it's important for us to have networks. This is why NCACC is important. They are also fighting this bill. They have put out lots of information about how dangerous this bill is, and this is why it's important that we be active as a board in that organization to contact people that we know in counties all across the state to urge them to adopt similar language and to adopt similar resolutions and voice together how we disapprove of this piece of legislation.
Well, I've heard today that they expect a budget bill and everything to be to the governor before July 1. And you mentioned Ed Goodwin. Ed was a county commissioner.
Yes.
So he knows. He knows the challenges that we face. And I hate to say this, but the emphasis in North Carolina now is we need to build more homes so that we can support the growing population. And if you look at the sponsors on this bill, they're either attorneys, real estate, home builders. Bill's the only one that I could dig up that was not associated in those areas.
Well, one of the things I find really ironic is, back a few years ago, there was this complaint that President Obama was trying to force multifamily housing throughout the country and government subsidized housing throughout the country. And I remember the Republicans were they were just going crazy over how could anything like that happen. And now here we go, Republicans sponsoring something just like this. Yeah, I'm calling out my party. They're wrong. And I'll call out wrong. I don't care which party they're in. As I said, it's just disgraceful that they would even do something like this to local governments. That's all I have to
Well,
say.
it undoes everything that we worked on for the last 2 years in terms of,
Lot sizes,
decrease in density and lot sizes.
setbacks, all that
And
stuff.
all that stuff. That just goes out the window now.
Yep. And I'm not going to set in on a special use permit where I can be held personally liable. I'll just tell all my board members right now, I will not set in on a special use permit where I can be held personally liable. And I would hope the rest of the board would also think about what that really means.
So then, who are we going to have running for county commissioner? People will not want to be involved in local government.
Well, it takes away Megan's responsibility to tell us if we're on legal footing in decisions that we make. It removes that.
So, all right, we need to move on with this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution opposing House Bill 765 and similar legislation that strips local governments of planning and zoning authority.
I second it.
I think you could seventh it.
Yeah. So we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
And I would just, anybody that's watching this at home and some of our Facebook warriors, I hope that y'all will put this information out there and put the contact information for all the representatives in Raleigh, because we can't stop it. It's going to take the people in Currituck County, Camden County, Pasquotank County, all throughout the state calling to stop a bill like this. That's what it's going to take.
And we need to send it also to the governor.
Yes, yes,
Call it and send emails.
yep. All right, next resolution, another doozy. Joint resolution opposing new tolls and increases on existing tolls on North Carolina ferries.
So how that would affect Currituck County, Mr. Commissioner, or Mr. Chairman, is they're going to have a $1 walk-on fee and a $3 passenger fee or vehicle fee for the Currituck Knott's Island ferry. There's no exemptions for kids going to school or anything like that. So
And I think the manager.
I was just going to say, excuse me, Commissioner Angel, so this is for the joint resolution. The county's resolution is up next, but
Gotcha.
it's certainly an appropriate conversation. So the counties of Beaufort, Carteret, Craven, Currituck, Dare, Hyde, Jones, and Pamlico have all joined together in this resolution in opposition to new tolls and increases on existing tolls to North Carolina ferry routes. And that is before you this evening for consideration.
We'll adopt this one, then we'll talk specifically about Knott's
like it.
Island.
They've tried to do this, this is the third or fourth time now?
Yeah.
At least the third time since I've been a commissioner.
Well, one time when they tried to do the Knott's Island ferry toll, we invited them to Knott's Island to come meet with the Knott's Island people. Well, we had people from the state DOT, we had district representatives, and they all wanted to ride the ferry over, and then they wanted to hold the ferry over so they could ride it back at night. And I told them,
After the
absolutely,
meeting.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I told
remember
them,
that.
absolutely not. You guys need to ride down these rickety roads that you expect our people to drive on before you adopt this toll. And they all had to drive around because we publicly shamed them so they couldn't keep that ferry there.
I want them to ride around with my son.
Yeah, and they had to drive back around, and after they heard from the folks at Knott's Island, they drove back around. They said, maybe we don't need to toll Knott's Island. So,
That was what, in 13?
yeah, so, okay.
I think the most important part of this resolution is that people in the mountains might not, or even in the Piedmont where I grew up, might not understand this is a public road. This is it's like a bridge. It's like something that you have to get to this area. You talk about driving around, that includes driving to another state. So you are forcing our citizens to drive to another state. If you look at the toll that goes from Aurora to Bayview, I don't know how many hours that adds just to go around. I know it's considerable. I don't think people, and of course, let's just say Hatteras, you don't have a method to drive around, nor Ocracoke. So I don't think they get that this is our mode of transportation in eastern North Carolina, and I'm excited that every one of the affected counties is adopting it.
Well, it's being driven by state senators that want the money allocated for the ferries to go to a project in their districts.
Yeah. All right, let's get a motion on this
Move
one,
for
then we'll
approval.
go. We have a motion for approval from Kevin,
Second.
second from Tony. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one is resolution opposing tolls for Knott's Island Ferry. This is Knott's Island specific. So go ahead, Mr. Angel,
You can read the whole thing.
if you'd like to.
So I'm not going to read the whole thing. We've already kind of talked about a lot of it. Specifically, as far as the Knott's Island Ferry goes, it was originally put there or established to transport the kids to and from school that live on Knott's Island. I know personally, I use it during wrestling season. I use it every day it runs during the week. my kids use it to go to and from school. Friends use it to get dropped off, and parents pick them up on the other side. They're going to change that to charge kids $1 to walk on or $3 to drive on, or $150 a year for a pass, which most kids that live on Knott's Island, probably $150 is an ask. I don't think it's fair. I think it's wrong for Raleigh to sit there and try to dictate public transportation. So
My understanding is the ferries that are currently charging fees do not charge their county residents fees to ride the ferry. So if they want to start charging fees, they surely should not charge Air Currituck citizens.
Yeah, and to get to the point, that ferry was established by, was it Governor Holhauser? Sanford, Governor Sanford,
Yeah.
specifically to transport the kids back and forth from Knott's Island to school. That's what it was specifically built for.
And that was around 1963, 64, somewhere in that area.
I wasn't old enough then, Owen.
61, I think.
No, it was after 61.
And he promised it would always be a free ferry for Knott's Island.
Yeah.
'Cause the
So,
school children is the ones that, I won't say embarrassed him into it, but they made the appeal to him.
and anybody that's ridden to Knott's Island after dark, and in the wintertime when the kids get done, if they got to ride back and forth after dark, that's a pretty scary route.
yeah, I mean the ditches
Scary in the daytime.
the ditches are deep, the roads are narrow.
And there's no shoulder.
If anybody doesn't believe it's so, then I got a 15-year-old you can ride with that'll remind you how scary that road can be.
So,
I'll move to approve the the resolution opposing the tolls on the Knott's Island Currituck Ferry route.
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll just say one thing. This is another thing that folks sitting out here and our Facebook warriors need to get busy on this and start getting some phone calls and some grassroots calling Raleigh about this.
Also, as a side note, Bobby Hannig tried to pull this out of the legislation, and they tabled it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he
Actually-
lost it 23 to 24.
Actually, it's my understanding that actually he was going to win it. And then when they saw they didn't have the votes, they took a recess and talked to some people about how long you been around here. You want to come back? You need to change your vote. And they come back and change their vote. And that's how it got tabled. So anyways, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Resolution adopting mainland water local supply plan. I guess that would be the county manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the development of a water shortage response plan for the mainland water system is required by North Carolina General Statute. This resolution recognizes the submittal of the plan. The plan has been approved by DEQ, and upon receipt of your resolution, they will officially approve the plan. I will note that there is a typo in section 5 of the plan, the planning section. The population is incorrect, so we will note that and have them correct that.
Okay, need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next agenda item is Older Americans Month Proclamation 2025. Let you talk about that.
Sure, thank you. So this is a proclamation recognizing May as Older Americans Month. And the resolution also calls upon all residents to join the board in recognizing the contributions of our older citizens and promoting programs and activities that foster connection, inclusion, and support for older adults.
Need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a motion? Have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is board appointments. We have put forward Albemarle Commission at-large appointment, Ms. Connie Hendrick to Albemarle Commission, seat through January 2027. And Fire and EMS Advisory Board, Richard Shortway, Fire Services Rep, completing an unexpired term, May 31st, 2025.
I'll move for approval for both nominations.
We have a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Item 7 is consent agenda.
Move for approval.
I have a motion for approval. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next is Commissioner's Report. Mr. Etheridge,
And nothing this evening.
Mr. McCord.
Ditto, nothing.
Wow. Mr. Angel.
Mr. Chairman, I attended the Tourism Advisory Board, and we had the grant proposal presentation. A lot of really, really good proposals put forth to bring tourists into the county, and, did all that. So that's about it.
Good job. Ms. Rose.
I attended the ribbon cutting for Kellogg's Supply and Coin Jock, a welcome addition to our county. I also attended the 50th celebration at our county library last week. It was very nice. Our county libraries provide a wide variety of services for our citizens. If you haven't been and taken advantage of them, I urge you to check them out. They're signing children up now for the summer reading program, which will begin soon. This week, we celebrate our nurses and teachers. A big thanks to all of them for their hard work and dedication. Our board recently passed a resolution supporting our local commercial fishermen, commercial fishermen in all of North Carolina. I encourage everyone to go one step further to show your support by buying local seafood. When you purchase seafood, ask where it was caught. My family enjoyed soft-shell crabs for dinner last night. Thank you, Wayne and Clay. They were delicious.
All right. Ms. Jarvis.
Thank you. I'm going to let the county manager and the chairman talk about our great informative joint meeting with the Board of Education. That was on the 29th of April. I was very encouraged. The dialogue was good, and I really believe that we can form a partnership with our Board of Education, and I'm hopeful to future meetings. I also attended the 50th anniversary celebration. Got to enjoy former county manager Bill Richardson's stories, especially the involvement in Lower Currituck and getting that built. And of course, Barbara Snowden always has a lot of great stories. But I really want to give a shout out to the staff of the entire staff of the library, to the Board of Trustees and the foundation of the library, to continue promoting and encouraging reading and lifelong love of literacy. And finally, we just adopted a resolution for Older Americans Month. I would say the best thing I do all month is volunteer with Meals on Wheels. It is so rewarding. It allows our seniors to have contact with people Monday through Friday and feel connected, part of the county. So flip the script on aging, get out there and volunteer. We have senior centers all around, and Stacy and her staff at the senior center do a fantastic job. Thank you for all you do.
And lastly, I'd just like to say that I was appointed to the Senior Citizen Advisory Board. We had our meeting last week, and there's a lot of stuff going on out there. We have a really nice facility. There's a lot of things for seniors to do. But even if you just go out there to visit and make friends and be around people, it's so healthy for people to be around people. So they do a great job. We did have a joint meeting with the school board. I guess it was last Tuesday. It was a very good meeting. You have to be able to sit down with people and communicate and spend time together, and we did that. It was a very For me, I did learn some things that I did not know about the schools and how things work, and just want to give a shout out to the school board and to the commissioners for a very good meeting. And with that, we'll go to the county manager's report.
Right, thank you. Commissioner Rose asked that I just provide an update on the Eagle Creek wastewater treatment plant. Whoops, excuse me. I sent you some information earlier today, but I just wanted to share that so that everyone is aware. DEQ did receive an application for a sewer extension for 39 units and did deny that permit. They have also filed a complaint to compel Currituck Water and Sewer to begin under their pump and haul permit. And a separate violation has been issued for Currituck Water and Sewer for the Eagle Creek plant. So that is the most recent update we have on Eagle Creek.
I think it's very important when you say Currituck Water and Sewer that everybody knows that's not the county.
Correct.
That's the name of a private entity. We get blamed for enough. We don't need to take anything extra.
We'll need no more
Thank
licks.
you. Thank you for sharing that information. And you too, Mr. Nunes, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, can I? Go
The
ahead.
state will follow up and comply, make them comply, because that's half the issue up there, that the state's known for years that they were not in compliance and did nothing.
They just sat in Raleigh. Mr. Chairman, can I ask the county manager a question?
You sure can.
Can we give if you have it, if you don't, somebody's speeding. Can we have a status on our plant, on the,
On the mobile plant?
yeah, please.
Sure. So I also reported, I believe this morning, that the first tests for April came in compliant. So they took the second sample last week, and hopefully that sample will come back compliant as well.
Two.
So is that?
Two?
That's
2 months.
2 in a row.
Two out of 3. Last month we missed by just
2 in a row
a little.
is technically a streak, so that's good.
Yeah, we're
they
moving in
give
the right
you-
direction.
Any indication when they might
They have
allow
not.
us to have some capacity?
They have not.
All right, anything else? Madam Attorney, do you have anything?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I attended my first Coastal Resources Advisory Council meeting last Wednesday, and I was just recently appointed to that. They serve as an advisory board to the Coastal Resources Commission, so it was really interesting. It was in Dare County, but they meet quarterly and they go all around to coastal counties. And so the two things that they discussed, or we discussed, was whether to allow artificial turf in the 30-foot vegetative buffer. And also they talked about ShoreLock, which is an innovative beach stabilization product that uses hydrogen bonding to keep sand wet. It's an erosion control measure. So it was really interesting, and I look forward to the next meeting, which I think will be in Beaufort.
What came out of the ShoreLock thing? Because I've
It was
I've
just
done
a
some-
presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, and they said basically the gist of it is they have a lot more research to do. It's a non-toxic.
I've done a lot of the
harmful-
research on it too.
Okay.
Like it looks like it could be pretty cool, and
It
and they've
does.
had some good pilot programs in the Caribbean with it.
Yeah, so very interesting.
All right, at this time, I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.113 to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
So
So
moved.
move.
I have a motion, a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Recess and reconvene in a closed session.